Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kopano Ramashala and I'm the founder and MD at Bakweta Telecommunications. In today's video, we're stepping into part 2 of the How to Start Your Own Wireless ISP series, and we're going to be covering another promised segment, and that would be the customer premises equipment. Now, in my previous video, which is linked up above, I covered how to set up your own tower, which your customer is going to be connecting to, and the various equipment that you're going to need to do so. So in today's episode, we're going to be going into the CPE, which is Customer Premises Equipment, and I'll be covering, obviously, the little bits that you're going to need to get your customer connected and surfing the internet with ease. Now, number one thing that you're going to need, first things first, the most important, is what we call the CPE antenna. Yep, this is it. This is what the back looks like. So in case you want to know, it's got a small anyana, what do we call this? This thing. The name has slipped my mind. But this is basically what it looks like. CPE antenna is made up of the actual antenna part. This is what we call the antenna shield. And obviously this is just the back. And yeah, this is what a customer would use to connect to your tower. So this part here would have to be pointed directly to your tower. The antenna would have to be pointed directly to your tower to actually get the internet signal, the wireless signal. Now, I have another antenna here that I'm going to use for example purposes as an access point. We actually do use these somewhere, or used to, that's why I have one in hand. So you'd have them pointed at each other like that, and that would get the customer internet. So this access point will be blasting out the signal, blasting it out, and this one here would be getting that blasted out signal. So this would be access point and this would be the client. See what I mean? So this would be the customer premises equipment, and like your phone connects to a typical Wi-Fi network from an access point, so it does this CPE dish here, and it would connect to your access point, as simple as that. And that's how it would get its internet. Now, if you have a look, see here below, we've obviously cut that cable because it was from another customer. But this is where you would have a cable, which we use outdoor cable. It's black cable. It's outdoor rated. You'd have this cable going into your customer's premises, and it would be connected to, which is the next part of the antenna. So it's say point 1.1, and it would be connected to what we call a PoE. So this is what it is. PoE is called Power over Ethernet. That's what it means. So as you'll see here on the label, the ports are labeled PoE and the other one is labeled LAN, and yeah, that's how things go. So the port that is labeled PoE is the one that would be receiving your outdoor cable going up and out to your antenna, and the port that is labeled LAN, which I have this gray cable connected to, would be going to your router, which is the next piece of equipment that you'll definitely need to get your customer connected to the internet. So that moves on to equipment point 2, I guess. We have what we call here a CPE router. Apologies for the antenna and how it's, but that's how a lot of you people know it. And this is the next part that you'd use to connect your customer to the internet. Obviously with the antenna, that antenna is connecting to your tower, getting the signal, and it's bringing it into the house And once it's in the house and at your PoE, which is power over Ethernet, which powers the antenna and also carries the data, would now, from the LAN port of the PoE, come into what we call the WAN port here. I hope you can see it. It's highlighted in blue. So that WAN port, which is a wide area network in networking terms, that's where you'd be getting your outside network, which is obviously the internet. And that's how your customer will be able to get their internet. So this device, obviously, it broadcasts its own Wi-Fi signal. Customer would be able to connect to it with their phone, their laptops, and various other devices that they'd like to use. With that being said, it now boils down to, before I actually go into that, I actually also wanted to highlight a little bit of things that you might have to bring into your mind, little installation accessories. So typically this CPE here, CPE antenna, would be connected to a pole. We use aluminum poles, 35mm aluminum poles, and they would definitely range from a height of 2 meters up to 3 meters, up to 4 meters or 5 meters, depending on the height that you want. And that would also depend on your line of sight to your tower. Now, line of sight is paramount and very important for you to get the best possible signal to your access point, and that would translate into the best quality service to your end customer. So that is also very important. That pole that I'm talking about would be connected to a bracket. Could be a square bracket, it could be a tripod bracket. There's also a type of roof mount that some people use that it can mount on the roof, basically below the tiles and be pointed at someone's tower. So be aware of those things. That's part of your installation. So be aware of what you'll need, and those are obviously the costs that will go into the whole cost of the customer premises equipment. And obviously the most important thing will be that outdoor rated cable that I spoke about. We typically use around about 15 to 20 meters per installation. So it's wise for you to buy a roll or from 300 meters to a kilometer of cable. So you know that you'll simply be taking out 15 to 20, depending on how your clients' houses are set up. In some places you can get away with 10 meters of cable, absolutely fine, if it's a small enough space and your antenna is possibly mounted directly outside of their living room where you'll be dropping that cable in. So think of those things and work them into your costs, your equipment costs for your customers. And when you obviously charge your customers for an installation, which some of us do, you need to be able to cover those costs. Some people give away free installations, and with that free installations, they would want their customers to sign up for maybe a 12 or 24 month contract where they're fixed and they cannot run away. So they know they make their money back, the equipment money back, and then once they've made that money back, they would start making the money on the actual service that they're providing the customer. Now, that's complete in terms of customer premises equipment. But one important thing when it comes to how you're going to be setting up your network or how your customer will be connecting to your network. When I first started with a network called a bridge network, a flat network. So basically it would be my core router, obviously between the router and the access point is a bridge. It's a direct bridge. And from the access point to the customer antenna was a bridge again. From the antenna to the router was a bridge again. So it was all a bridge, and it was what we call a flat network. Now the danger of such a network is that once you start having a lot of customers and clients on, you'll witness something that is, we call in networking terminology, a broadcast storm. So basically what happens is this router or your device, we'll start with your phone. Your phone would say to the router, okay, I want to go to google.com. And then your router would tell your antenna, I want to go to google.com. And what happens from the antenna side, it goes to the access point and says, I want to go to google.com. Now, every other device that's connected to your access point, so every other customer that you have, it's going to go do the same. So from my phone, it's going to go to your neighbor's antenna and say, hey, I want to go to google.com, and your neighbor's routers, and come back and keep on bouncing across the network until it comes back to the last device and comes back to the access point, and then goes to the core router and says, hey, I want to go to google.com. Now, if you have 40 customers all saying, I want to go to google.com, and those broadcasts are going to each other's equipment, that will create a broadcast storm, and that can bring down your network. It'll first slow it down, but at some point, if it's high traffic and everybody's Netflixing and YouTubing and this and that, you'll find your network down on the floor. Literally, it'll bring down your network. You'd have to reboot your equipment, and then the broadcast storm will start again, because obviously your routers and your access points, CPUs and memory will be strained so much that it'll just cut. So be careful of that. I highly advise that you use what we call a rooted network. Now, what we currently do is, on our ports, our router ports, we first segregate the network using various IP addresses. We don't put all the ports on a one bridge. We segregate the ports. So we'd have an IP address on the port, and we'd have an IP address on the access point, and it would route between the two. It'll also still be in bridge mode. The access point will still be in bridge mode. So the bridge mode would be between the access point and your antenna CPE, your customer CPE antenna. Fair enough. Now, on the CPE antenna, that's where we would typically put what we call the triple PoE credentials. So that is where the customer gets authenticated. So this antenna here would speak directly to the router, obviously through the access point, but because it's a bridge, it will speak directly to the router and say, hey man, my name is Onapok, and as Onapok, I am your new customer, I'd like to connect to the internet. And once it's done that, the router would say, do I know you? And it searches through its triple PoE profiles that you've created through your management software, and would say, yes, I do know you, Onapok, and your speed is 10 megs by 5 megs. So yes, I do know you, and it would authenticate this antenna, and it would pop up on your network management software that Onapok is online and connected. Give the antenna an IP address, and that's it. That's where it ends. So that route would be router, access point, and your antenna, and it's done. So when this antenna, or when you request from your phone to say, I want to go to google.com, it would go from your router to your antenna, which I'll go into how that's going to happen. And then from your antenna, straight to the access point, straight to the router, and out to the internet. It's a straight line like that. So on this antenna, what we basically do on the LAN side of the network, we program it to give out a dynamic IP address. So it's just a normal dynamic IP address, .1.1 probably. So from the antenna to the router, dynamic IP, and that's where it gets internet. So the router, you won't have to put in any fancy triple PoE credentials that your customer would kick out when they decide that they want to reset their router bona and have a new Wi-Fi name and password, and they happen to reset it by mistake. Some do by mistake, and it kicks out those credentials, and now you have to have a truck rollout and go to your customer and set that up again. It's a headache. So in that case, it simply gets a dynamic IP, and it's hot. It can be connected to the internet like that. So now there's a route between the antenna and the router. So it cuts out that whole broadcast storm ability, because the bridges have now been eliminated. There's simply one bridge between the router and the antenna, because obviously the AP is in bridge mode. So that's basically it. The next thing, or the final thing, I suppose, that you're going to use to link everything up is your network management software. Now, there's various network management softwares out there. You can simply choose with what is obviously in your pocket, what will be easier to run, what will be easier to set up, and what will be easier for you to scale, or once you do start scaling, how does it help you? So there is various ones to use, but make sure that one, it can connect to your MikroTiks with ease via API, so you can manage your MikroTik core router via that API and the user interface of your network management software. So as you may know, it's no open secret, we use Splinks. It has worked well for us because it's all in one. It does the billing, it does network management, we can connect to our routers with it. It also does network monitoring. So it helps us in a lot of things. It can generate contracts, application forms. Users can log on to a portal to check their speeds, check how much they owe in terms of the account, and so on and so forth. So there's various other network management softwares that you can use that are in the cloud. For example, there's one called Zima Cloud, Z-I-M-A Cloud. And yeah, we used to use that before. Simple to use. Can just copy a script, paste it in your MikroTik, connect your MikroTik to the network management software. You're able to load your clients, and Bob's your uncle, man. It just works like that. The only limitations, of course, is that we could not now add, do billing like invoices and receipts and so on and so forth. So it had a limitation there when the customers grew, where we have now a spreadsheet checking if this guy is paid and managing all of that. It's too much of an issue. So hence we progressed to Splinks. So as I said, there's many of them, but it's paramount to have one to manage your entire network and be able to rate limit your customers now, in terms of their packages. Ubiquiti also have their own network management software as well that you can start with if you want to do that. And then you'd rate limit on the actual antenna itself. It has a setting where you'd want to rate limit the actual CPE antenna to say only up to this speed you can download, only up to this speed you can upload. Then in the bridge is just pure free-flowing internet. And yeah, with that being said, you don't have to use the specific brand that I've shown you here. As I've mentioned in a video before, which I've linked up here, I'm migrating our setup from Ubiquiti to MikroTik. The reason why we're doing this is that MikroTik has now full AX devices, and now I'm talking about outdoors. Ubiquiti have not come up with any Wi-Fi 6 or 7 outdoor CPEs or access points for us yet. They keep promising, but they haven't brought anything. So it's very paramount that you choose something that will be future-proof, and you can simply use it in the future. Wi-Fi 6 is obviously a new standard in terms of the 802.11 standards, the Wi-Fi standards, and it provides greater capacity, greater speeds. I mean, on the current setups with one access point, we can only get away with connecting like 30 clients per AP. And if we've got a tower with 4 APs that are facing each direction, that means we can only connect 120 clients. Now with the new MikroTik Wi-Fi 6 equipment, we're able to connect 120 clients per access point. Now that gives us much greater ability to serve more clients with one access point and one tower. If it's 4 access points on a tower, that means you can serve up to 400 customers on that tower, which is great ROI per tower that you're going to be having. So those are the type of things that you're going to have to look at when you select your equipment. How far can it shoot? How far are your customers connecting? For example, with this dish here, because it has this spout, this can connect to a tower if it's got like a clear line of sight 20 kilometers away. You see what I mean? So you need to factor in certain things like that. We have smaller antennas, something that looks similar to this. If you've got a tower in a residential area, and within that residential area, maybe your customers would be in a 2-kilometer radius or even less, you can use small local CPE antennas, because my customers 300 meters away, 500 meters away, 1 kilometer away, and you don't need such a high power device to want to connect to your tower or the access points which are so close together. So yeah, there's various factors, but I think I have covered the basics within this video and my previous video. Now in the third part of the series, we're going to go into the things that we love, the practicality of it, setting the equipment up. So I'm going to show you one of my setups, one of my first setups in fact, and show you what I have in the cabinet and how it's connected. I'll show you the access points on the tower, and then we'll go through connecting the actual customer CPE antenna to the tower and how it all works basically. And we'll do that step by step, and you guys will get to witness how it's done, so you can also do it yourself. Now with that being said, I did promise courses for all of these discussions. I have first decided on, because it was something that I could do quickly, I have published the first ebook. The ebook is based on Wi-Fi hotspot, because that's another hot subject. So you'll see with the link in the description and the link that I've shown you on the screen to my stand store. Simply click it, it'll take you to my store, and you'll get to check out the ebook and purchase it there. Yours to keep with all of the resources. You can read it over and over and over again and use it to apply it to setting up your hotspot business. Next will be an ebook based on this WISP series as well, so you have it in your pocket and you can refer to it at any time, at any point. Now you must note, with the ebook I have some goodies, some templates, marketing templates for your vouchers, and I have mentioned much more things, and it's obviously more in depth in terms of the information, so it would be of great advantage to you. With all that said, thank you very much for those who are reaching out as well via email. Thank you very much for those who continue watching my channel, and thank you very much for those who are actually implementing this information. Unfortunately, I can't save the world, although I'd like to help each and every one of you and hold your hand from buying your equipment and setting it up. Unfortunately, time is a limiting factor, so I cannot do that for everyone unless obviously they do pay for that time. So we also have those one-on-one consultations where I can assist you in setting things up from A to Z, but obviously there would be a fee that's attached to that, so you could get the best value for your time and your money. But other than that, 30-minute free consults are still there. Please note, I'll definitely not assist you to help to set up things during that time. That's just for me to answer a few questions and get a sense of what you're trying to do and give you advice with regards to that. But yeah, nevertheless, do reach out and do tune in for the next video. Thank you and goodbye.